Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's class, we are going to deal with part 5, biodiversity in living world, that is levels and hierarchy of classification. As we know, we all humans are always curious about many of the things. Out of this, one thing is that we want to know more about the organisms and how they are interlinked with each other and what is the relationship among them, right? So, yesterday in our class, we studied about the taxonomy. What is taxonomy? Taxonomy is nothing but arrangement of organism. How do I arrange it? Randomly I am supposed to arrange it? No, it is based on certain rules or norms. Rules or norms, right? This is what we studied yesterday. So yesterday we studied about the classical taxonomy and modern taxonomy. When I talk about the classical taxonomy, it is nothing but the basic taxonomy. It has 4 pillars. What are the 4 pillars, class? That is characterization, identification, classification and nomenclature. This classical or the basic taxonomy is based only on the morphological character. Then what about the modern taxonomy? It is little advanced than the classical taxonomy, right? It again has 4 pillars, that means same over here. But instead of only focusing on the morphology, we are going to focus on the anatomy, we are going to focus on the ontogeny, then ecological information as well as the cell structure. Yesterday we studied about the ontogeny. If you remember, write it in the chat box. Now, last one is your systematic taxonomy. This is the most advanced one. This is the most advanced one. When I say it is the most advanced one, that means we have 5 pillars. 4 pillars you already know, and the 5th pillar is going to be your phylogeny, right? So this is going to be based on all the categories which I mentioned in the modern taxonomy. Along with that, we have phylogeny. What is phylogeny? We studied in the previous class. Correct, that is evolutionary relationship among the organisms, right? So it is going to basically tells us about our ancestors. So this is going to give more accurate information for the classification or the arrangement of living organism. So which one is the best one out of classical, modern and systematic? Correct, it is going to be the systematic taxonomy. Now, systematic, the term was given by Carl Linnaeus. Systematic word you get from the Latin word. Now, yesterday we studied about the taxonomy. Taxonomy basically we get from Greek word. And what is the word? Taxes. And what is the meaning of taxes? That is nothing but your arrangement. Then what about systematics? Systematics is nothing but we get from the Latin word. Latin is a dead language, and from which Latin word? Systema. Systema means sequence. This refers to the systematic arrangement of living organism. Now this is going to give us information how we are supposed to arrange the organism. Are we supposed to put it randomly anywhere in any classification or any category? No, we are not supposed to do that. Okay, Carl Linnaeus used this term. So systema word was used by Carl Linnaeus in his book Systema Naturae. You're supposed to remember the name of the book, right? Now, introduction to systematic. Class, what is the definition of systematic? When you see what is written in your textbook, that is study of the diversity and relationship among the organism, or either you can write this definition or you can write it is the branch of science that deals with the vast diversity of the life. Let me tell you the trick over here, class. You know, some of the times when you get option of systematic, taxonomy and all, you get confused. So whenever you see vast diversity, then option is going to be systematics. Okay, whenever you see vast diversity, so systematic is one which is going to deal with the phylogeny. Phylogeny word you can use it for vast diversity because it is going to give you about information about your ancestors, right? Let me clean this once. Okay, so this is nothing but when vast diversity is present, the arrangement of organism can be done by systematic taxonomy, right? What is the importance of systematic taxonomy? It is nothing but understanding organism diversity, reveal the relationship among them, and also most important one, the phylogeny, that is evolutionary relationship will be given by the systematic taxonomy, right? Now, what are the 5 pillars or the process of systematic? We are already done with the characterization, identification, classification and nomenclature, and the last one is your phylogeny. That means it is additionally going to tell you about the ancestor, right? So we are already done with characterization, then identification, then classification and nomenclature. Now let's jump on the phylogeny. This is just a revision. We have already done this in the previous class, right? So phylogeny is nothing but it tells you about the evolutionary history of a particular species, right? Or a group of organisms. So whenever evolutionary history is told about any particular species or any group of organism, we call it as phylogenetics, right? And it is represented by which tree? Write it in the chat box and tell me. Yesterday I told you that the Protista is evolved from the Monera, and fungi, plants and animals are evolved from the Protista. What about birds and mammals? How birds or mammals are formed or evolved? From the reptile. So reptile is going to evolve into mammals as well as bird. Right? So this was the about evolutionary relationship. Now what are the components of systematic? Taxonomy is the key part of systematic. See class, in systematic again what we are doing, the pillars and all, everything is same. Apart from that, the additional will be phylogenetics, right? Additional will be phylogenetics. So basically it is nothing but it is key part of taxonomy only. It is what? Arranging of the organism only based on the rules. But here additional thing is that you will be getting to know about the phylogenetics, right? Now, taxonomic hierarchy or taxonomic category. Classification of living organism, we can never do it in a single step. Okay, so it requires series of steps. When I say series of steps, each step we call it as either rank, category or taxa. So whenever I use word taxa, you have to understand taxa, rank and category all are equal. In previous class we studied about taxa. What is taxa? Group we call it as taxa. Group we call it as taxa, right? So if I say category, if I say rank, if I say taxa, you have to understand all three are same. This is what is given in your textbook. But actually class, what happened when I talk about the category, you remember in previous class we study about the 7 categories. So these comes under categories, and whatever groups are going to come under these 7 categories, we call it as taxa. For example, your mammalia can be your taxa, chordata can be your taxa, but in your textbook they have mentioned that kingdom, phylum, all these things are taxa along with the mammalia and chordata, right? So we will learn in this way, but back in the mind you have to understand these are 7 categories, and taxa we call the group which are present in the categories, right? Now, all categories together, when I am going to pile up all the categories together, these are going to form taxonomic hierarchy. What we studied, all these 7 categories are in the sequence-wise manner. It starts with kingdom and ends with species, right? This is what we studied in the previous class, correct? Now, each category is referred to the unit of classification. In each category, we are going to put group of organisms. So, we call it as unit of classification, right? Now, taxonomic hierarchy and taxonomic category is a ranking system. Ranking system. Basically, we are going to rank them. When I say rank them means I know which one I am supposed to put it in the kingdom and which one I am supposed to put it in the species. Kingdom is the highest one, species is the lowest one, right? So, what is rank class? Rank is nothing but the system has several levels. For example, we have studied the 7 categories. So, these 7 categories from kingdom to species, these 7 categories are one level. This is one level, this is another level, this is another, and so on. We have 7 levels, right? The broadest one is going to be at top. So kingdom is the broadest category, and more specific one is at the bottom. Now what is the specific and all, I will be telling you little later in this upcoming video. Okay. Now, the most common system is your 7 obligate category system, right? Taxonomic category combined to form taxonomic hierarchy. This is what we studied. All these 7 categories are going to combine to form taxonomic hierarchy. Hierarchy means what? It means sequence. Okay. Now see here, taxonomic hierarchy was given by Carl Linnaeus. He gave only and only 5 categories, but we studied about the 7 categories. So class, order, genus, species and variety was given by Carl Linnaeus. What about when we studied 7 categories, did we study about the variety? No, we did not study about the variety. So variety was removed and later on, and 3 categories were added instead of variety. That is your kingdom, phylum and family. These are finally called as 7 obligate categories, right? Now, basic requirement. What is the requirement for taxonomic hierarchy or taxonomic category? The knowledge of characters of an individual. What did I say when I told you about the taxonomy? The first thing is that you should know about the character of the organism. Until and unless you know about the character of organism, you won't be able to classify them in any category, right? This helps in identifying similarity. When you jot down your characters, you see it is similar to which organism or it is dissimilar to which organism. Based on that, we have different kinds of organisms, right? Now here you can see class all these 7 categories which we studied in the previous class, but this one is something new, that is domain. What is domain class? Why did I write on top of the kingdom? It is higher than the kingdom, right? It is unit of classification which is higher than the kingdom. What did I say? Each category is a unit of classification. Unit of classification means I am going to classify the organisms, segregate the organisms, right? So domain is the highest one. So in option, if domain is given, we are going to mark domain as the highest unit of classification, right? So this we are already done with it, class. So I'm moving forward. Now, 7 obligate categories we are already done. We do have intermediate categories. So in between kingdom till species, we have in between categories. We call it as intermediate categories. So we have sub-kingdom, division, subdivision, and all these will be there. What is grade? Write it in the comment box and tell me. What is grade? Grade is nothing but it comes in between class and order. Okay. 8 categories. Now as we add domain to the classification system, when we add domain to the category, what happened? Instead of 7 category, it becomes 8 category, right? Now about the subspecies, we will read it in the upcoming slides. What is the historical perspective about this? Linnaeus is the one first to establish a definite hierarchy for the taxonomic category. See class, we know that 7 categories are there, but these categories are arranged in a sequence-wise manner. This is what we call it as taxonomic hierarchy. He introduced the taxa, kingdom, class, order, genus and species. And who introduced taxophylum? Haeckel was the one who introduced taxophylum. Now, what is this 3 domain classification? This is something very important and little complicated, so you are supposed to listen very carefully. 3 domain classification is was given by Carl Woese and co-worker. What did he observe? He observed that prokaryotes. What are prokaryotes? Prokaryotes are the one who do not have distinct nuclei. That means nucleus is not covered with the nuclear membrane. That means no nuclear membrane is present. No nuclear membrane is present in prokaryotes, right? So prokaryote classify under prokaryota and monera. Now class, you have to understand one thing. This you will be studying in your biological classification. So we have 5 kingdom classification. One is your monera. Then we have Protista. Then we have Fungi. We have Plantae and we have Animalia. When we talk about Monera, class, you have to understand that under Monera, I am going to place prokaryote unicellular. All the organisms which are unicellular and prokaryote, I am going to place under Monera. Protista is again unicellular but eukaryote. Rest all are multicellular eukaryote. So any organism which is eukaryote and multicellular, I am supposed to place it under fungi, plants or animals. I am not going to place under Monera and Protista. So here Monera, kingdom Monera is for prokaryotes. And what is our prokaryote? Obviously our bacteria, right? This is what we have studied in the previous class. Bacteria is the one which we will be placing under prokaryotes, right? So here he saw that prokaryotes classified under Monera were close to eukaryotes. Why did I differentiate them? Why do I have kingdom Monera and why do I have different fungi, plants and animals? Because they were different, right? But he saw, Carl Woese and his workers has observed that kingdom Monera mein bacteria is present and that bacteria is showing characteristic feature related to the eukaryotes. Due to this, what he did, he added domain Archaea separately. Now, before moving ahead, let me explain you something. That is, under kingdom Monera, we have 2 classification. That is your eubacteria and Archaea bacteria. When I talk about eubacteria, eu means what class? Eu means true. So these are true bacteria. That means whatever characters we have studied about the bacteria till now, everything will be shown for the eubacteria. Then what about the Archaea bacteria? Archaea bacteria are the one which will be able to survive in the harsh condition. For example, very salty or high temperature or very cool temperature. In these conditions, you will be able to see Archaea bacteria to survive. Why? Because their cell wall is different. Okay, their cell wall is different than the normal bacteria. Then they have Histone protein. What are histone protein? Class, we have already studied. Histone are the protein around which your DNA is going to wrap twice like this. Once, twice. Okay. So histone is a protein which is used for packaging of the DNA. Packaging of the DNA, packaging of the DNA, right? Now, these histone proteins are only present in the eukaryote, but how come it is present in the archaea bacteria? Archaea bacteria is prokaryote, right? So, definitely there is something with the DNA, that gene is present which produce that particular mRNA which is going to produce protein, your histone. Now, this DNA is going to be little similar to the eukaryotes. That's why it is able to produce histone, correct? So, that's why he said that some of the bacteria are similar to the eukaryotes. That's the reason he separated them into the another domain. We call it as archaea. I hope this must be clear for you, right? Okay. Now, molecular systematic. When I use molecular word, you have to understand I'm talking about DNA, I'm talking about RNA, I'm talking about protein, enzyme, hormone, all these things I'm talking about, okay, whenever I use the word molecular. So, systematic means already I know the arrangement, right? So, study using molecular data. That means I have studied RNA, DNA, protein, enzyme and hormone, many more about that particular organism, and studied how they are how evolutionary relationship is happening between these organisms. So molecular systematic is nothing but the field of biology that use molecular data, primarily your DNA sequence, to study the evolutionary relationship among the organisms. So if DNA shows little similarity, then only that particular mRNA will be there, and then only that particular protein will be formed, which is only seen in the eukaryotes, right? I hope this is clear to you. Now, this is something very important. Please listen to me very carefully. So we have three domain classification. In these three domain classification, we have cell, that is the oldest cell. We call it as progenote cell. Progenote cell is the oldest cell which is responsible for making the three domain. I told you that, Monera, from Monera Protista is evolved from Protista, and so on. Fungi, plants and animals are evolved, right? But what about the first cell? There must be always a first cell from which everything must be evolved, right? So these first cell, we call it as progenote cell or oldest cell, right? So three domain system are, first one is the bacteria or prokarya, second one is your archaea, and third one is eukarya. So this is domain 1, this is domain 2, and this one is going to be domain 3. When we talk about domain 1, true bacteria are present. That means example is your eubacteria. Eubacteria is present in this domain. When we talk about the archaea domain, then archaea bacteria are the one who are classified under the archaea. When we talk about the eukaryote, the eukarya domain, we have Protista, fungi, plants and animals. All these are, when I talk about, anyways we have studied that these are the eukaryotes, but this was the prokaryote, right? But we saw that the archaea bacteria shows similarity with the eukaryotes, right? So archaea bacteria, Protista, fungi, plant and animals shows more closely relationship than with the bacteria. That was the reason of formation of three domain classification, right? Now, so what are the three domains, class? Bacteria, archaea and eukarya, correct? We come under which domain? Write it in the comment box and let me know. This I already discussed with you, class. You can just have a look on the slide. Now, study of the RNA. That's what I told you, na class. DNA, from the DNA, there will be the formation of mRNA, and from the mRNA, particular protein is formed. So, we have studied about the RNA. That means RNA of archaea is similar to the RNA of eukarya. More closely. Can I say more exactly similar? No, it is more closely related to each other. That's why the proteins which are present in the eukarya will be present in the archaea as well, right? Now, one more thing, class. If I am going to consider three domain system, instead of 5 kingdom, I'll be having 6 kingdom. That is eubacteria will become separate kingdom, and archaea bacteria will become separate kingdom. Earlier, these both were under Monera, right? So usually we have 5 kingdom classification, but if I follow the 3 domain system, it will become 6 kingdom classification. So this is one example, class. One activity is given in your textbook. So this is an example. Suppose if I take an example of human. What is the scientific name for human? Correct. That is Homo sapien. Homo sapien. When I say Homo sapien, what is Homo and what is sapien? So if I'll go with the species, sapien is the species. Homo is the genus. We are from which family? We are from Hominidae family. What is the order? We are primates. Class, in the chat box, write and tell me what are primates. We already discussed in the class, right? What are primates? Primates are the one. Write it in the chat box. Come on. Class, we are Mammalia or insecta? We are mammalia. We are not insects, right? Phylum. When I'm talking about the animal, I'll use the word phylum. When I'll talk about the plant, I'll be using the word division. So we are what? Chordata or arthropoda? We are chordata. We are not arthropoda. Correct? Now kingdom. We come under Animalia, Plantae. We come under Animalia. We are not under Plantae. Domain, quickly tell me. We come under bacteria, archaea, eukarya. We come under eukarya. Right? So this was an example for human being. Now this is very important with respect to the NEET as well, right? So we already discussed about the 7 category. So among the 7 category, when I talk about kingdom, it is the highest unit of classification. It is the highest unit of classification, and this one is the species is the lowest unit of classification. Lowest unit of classification. When I say kingdom, it is difficult to classify. Why it is difficult to classify? Because more general characters will be there. For example, if I want to put something under kingdom Animalia, so I will say, okay, whoever does not have cell, I'll put it under kingdom Animalia, right? So it is difficult. Like if I want to, if you see, donkey is not similar to the monkey, right? Donkey is not similar to the monkey, but both are animals. So using general character, we place organisms in the kingdoms because it is at the higher level of unit, it is highest unit of classification. So we are going to put the general character. Since the general character is there, it is difficult for me to classify the organism. But when we talk about the species, it is easy to classify because less general character is there and more specific character, more similar character will be there. Now when I say it is less exclusive, can I say it is less when I say it is less inclusive, can I say it is more exclusive? Correct, I can say more exclusive. Why am I able to say this? Because species are the organism which will be having similar character, so it is easy for me to figure out any particular species when it comes to the kingdom, because here we have less general character and here we have more specific character. Specificities more, similarities more, general character decreases, right? A simple example, if I'll give you, that I gave you a book and I told you go down and give it to one boy. Okay, you will go down and you will say instead of one boy there are 7 boys. So you will come back and say, ma'am, 7 boys are there, right? Because I gave you general character. Now I will say, okay, give it to the boy who wore red shirt. Okay, you will go down, you will see, ma'am, 3 wore red color shirt. Okay, then I am going to tell you, okay, the boy wore black color pant. Ma'am, 2 boys wore black color pant. Okay, who will be having curly hair? I will say, okay, one is only having curly hair and all the characters are present in that particular guy. So what is it? I am giving you more specific character. So it is easy for you. So if I'll give you at the beginning itself, if I'll give you all these specific characters, it is easy for you. You don't have to come again and again to me and say, I'm not able to figure it out, right? So I hope you understood about specific character and general character. Now class, in NEET they ask, from kingdom to species, general character increases or decreases. See here, general character is more and here general character is less. So from kingdom to species, general character decreases. But when we talk about species to kingdom, general character increases, right? Same way, if I talk about the specific character is more when I talk about the species and specific character is less when I talk about the kingdom. So if I move from species to kingdom, specific character decreases. But when I move from kingdom to species, specific character increases, right? A specific character increases. I hope this point is clear to you all. So this is what I wrote in this particular slide. Have a look at it. Now, one by one, we are going to see about all the categories. So, when I talk about the species, species are nothing but we have already studied about the species. Species are whom class? Species are the organisms who have similarity in morphology and anatomically. Okay, then dissimilar in what? Dissimilar in what class? They are dissimilar in genetics. They are dissimilar in genetics. Obviously, if the genes are different, then only I am putting it under different species. And one more word we will be using for species, that is reproductively isolated. What is the meaning of reproductively isolated? Isolated means alag ho jana, to keep separate, right? So only particular when the species are when same species are there, they will be able to reproduce with each other. But what about the different species? Different species are isolated with each other. That means they won't be able to reproduce with each other. So group of organisms. See here, group of closely related organism. Why am I writing closely related? Because obviously they are not reproductively, they are not reproductively isolated. Why? Because same species are present, right? See here, capable of interbreeding. What is the meaning of inter and what is the meaning of breeding? Breeding is nothing but your reproduction. Inter means what class? You must have heard two words, intra and inter. Have you heard about inter-college competition? Inter-college means in between two colleges. So interbreeding means in between two species. Are these species different? No, in between same species, and produce fertile offspring. Very, very, very important. So what are the characters of species? Similarity morphological and anatomically, dissimilarly genetics, and reproductively isolated. Then they will be able to interbreed and then produce fertile offspring. Very, very, very important. If different species are there and they are able to reproduce, they won't be able to produce fertile offspring. And this species one is the basic or the lowest category of the classification. Right, class? So this is what I have written over here. Another word is common gene pool. What did I write? Common gene pool. Similarity will be there morphologically and anatomically. Dissimilarity will be there in genetics. Of different species will have different genes, right? But sharing the common gene pool. So if they are similar species are present, so what will happen? They will have common gene pool. With this, I have a question for you people. What is the meaning of gene pool? Gene means what, class? Gene means what? Segment of DNA which is going to produce protein, right? It is a part or segment of DNA which is going to produce protein. So gene pool is nothing but some total genes, some total genes present in a population. Okay, some total genes present in a population, right? Now, here I have just written in a flowchart manner. We have already discussed this. Okay, what are the principle of species? Different member of species can interbreed freely and produce fertile offspring. When I say different member, mind it, I have not written different species. Okay, so member of a particular species will be able to interbreed with each other. All members are found in the remote area of the globe which has common ancestor. See, if the species are same, obviously they will be having common ancestor. Anatomically similar, morphologically similar, resembles with another the members resembles one another more than the other species. Obviously species 1 is different from this species 2, right? All members of the species have same karyotype. What is the meaning of karyotype, class? Obviously we have studied karyon means nucleus. So what is karyotype? Karyotype is nothing but pictorial 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 representation of all set of chromosome. So you will be having all 23 pairs of chromosome and it will be like this. You will be able to see. So we call it as pictorial representation of chromosome. Now why it is required? We will be able to know about the number of chromosomes, structure of chromosome, and position of Position of centromere. Position of centromere. We will be able to know position of centromere. Now class, when I am dealing with this karyotype, we will be able to know about any genetic deformities if it is present, right? Morphologically same we have already studied. Genetically it will be different from species to species. Similar species will have same genetic material. Now monotypic genes. Mono means one, poly means many. So monotypic species means contain no subspecies. What is subspecies? We'll deal in the next slide. Contain two or more subspecies. If two or more subspecies are present, we call it as polytypic species. Now let's understand about this subspecies. Subspecies are nothing but geographically isolated. What about the species class? We studied species are reproductively isolated, right? But when we talk about the subspecies, they are geographically isolated. That means they have moved from one place to another place, correct? Show minor variation. Obviously, why minor variation? Variation is there, then that's why we are calling it variation is there, that's why we are calling them under the subspecies, correct? Now if more variation is there, then this subspecies will change into another new species, right? So only minor variation is present. Capable of interbreeding, obviously they are subspecies, they have not turned into the another new species, so they will be able to interbreed with each other. Often considered as a potential. C class, one species is there, geographically they are isolated, so that means it will become subspecies. And when I talk about the subspecies, there will be some genetically change in the subspecies. If these genes are more changed, then what will happen? It will change into another new species, okay? New species, and this formation of new species we call it as speciation. We call it as speciation, right? So example in your textbook is given crow, that is Corvus splendens. In India and Pakistan we call it as Corvus splendens. Myanmar we have Corvus splendens insolens, and Sri Lanka we have Corvus splendens protigatus. Okay, now this we have already studied about two words. What is this third word? So whenever you see third word, it is nothing but we are talking about the subspecies. So here splendens, insolens and protigatus is your subspecies, right? So species, when we talk about the nomenclature, just now I told you the first word is going to, suppose let me go back. So here the first word is going to be your genus, second one is going to be your species, and third one is going to be your subspecies. Okay, now let's come on genes. Let's talk about genes. Genes are nothing but aggregates of closely related. Very, very important. If you'll write aggregates of species, no. Closely related species, we call it as genus. Okay. For example, if you'll see genus Panthera, under genus Panthera, your Leopardus and Tigris is going to come under genus Panthera. Under genus Felis, your Domesticus and your Cos is going to come under genus Felis. These all species are interlinked with each other. So here you can see group of related species and they are going to resemble each other, but will have, see, genus will have more general character as compared to the species. Species will have more specific character, right? Now here you can see example. We have already seen these examples. What are family? Family is nothing but group of related genera. Now all the definitions are nothing but class, group or aggregate of related species or related genera, whatever it is in the ascending order, right? So family is nothing but group of related genera. So just now we saw about Felis, right? Now, family Felidae is going to have genus Panthera. So, genus Felis and genus Panthera are closely related. So, they will come under family Felidae. Right? Now, here something is given in your textbook which you have to remember. Genera over here is Felis. Panthera is again genus. Genus. Okay. Now, naming is nothing but class. How do we write naming for the family? You have to add IDAE in your genus. For example, Homo I have taken. Homo, if you are going to add IDAE, it will become Hominidae. That is the family for human, right? Subfamily, for subfamily, you are supposed to add INAE. So that over here, it will become Hominidae. Superfamily. For superfamily, you have to add OIDEA. Okay. Now, these three are given in your textbook, so you are supposed to write. This is not given in your textbook, but you should know about it. Animal family ends with IDAE. That is, one example is given, Felidae. And plants family ends with Aceae. That is, Solanaceae. Right? Now, order is nothing but it is aggregate of related family. Just now we saw family Felidae, right? Now, family Felidae and family Canidae. In chat box, tell me class family Canidae is for what? Dog or for cat? So, family Canidae and Felidae comes under order Carnivora. Carnivora, we gave the name Carnivora because carnivores, what are carnivores? Carnivores are the one who feed on the flesh. So, based on their canine teeth, we have segregate the organisms, right? So these are the examples of your family. Felidae, Canidae, Henidae and Euracidae. Right? Now, what about the class? Class is nothing but related order, aggregate of related order. We call it as class. For example, your order Primata and order Carnivora. Now, what is Primata class? Write it in the comment box. What I was telling. Okay, order Primata and order Carnivora are related. What? Related order, which comes under the family Mammalia. Right? Who are mammals? Write it in the chat box. We already discussed in the class. Now, this is we have already studied. These are the examples given in your textbook you are supposed to read. That is Rodentia, Cetacea, Carnivora, Primates. Primates may we all are example monkey, apes and humans, right? Now, second last one is phylum or division. I told you phylum is for animal and division is for plants. So aggregate of related class we call it as phylum. Correct? Division is for plants. Now here see when I talk about phylum Chordata, class Amphibia, Reptilia, apes and mammals. All four are going to come under phylum Chordata. Right? All are interlinked with each other. So phylum is for animal, division is for plant and it is group of one or more related class, right? For example, phylum Chordata. Now this classes like Cyclostomata, Condictis, Osteothits, Amphibia, Reptilia, apes, Mammalia, all these things we are going to study in detail in animal kingdom chapter. So I'm not going to explain you in detail over here. Notochord, dorsal, hollow, nerve cord. What are the common feature? When I talk about all these things, so what are the common feature? All these are common feature. Again, I'm not going to discuss this because we are going to deal in detail about this in your animal kingdom chapter. Just giving you a gist of it. When I say notochord, notochord means what class? It's a rod-like structure later on which is going to convert into vertebrate, right? Sorry, vertebral column. So organisms who have vertebral column, we call them vertebrates, right? Now, what is nerve cord? Nerve cord is the one which is going to later form your spinal cord. Correct? Now, the final one is your kingdom. That is kingdom Animalia. If I'll talk about your phylum Chordata and phylum Arthropoda are the related one. We have 11 phylums under kingdom Animalia. We will study in the next chapter or upcoming slides. Right? So, these are related ones. Correct? Now, kingdom Animalia are also called as metazoa. What are the features of metazoa? Metazoa word we use for multicellular organism. So what is the feature of kingdom Animalia? They are multicellular, non-saprophytic. Class, what is the meaning of saprophytic? Suppose I'll take the example of fungi. So what fungi is going to do? Suppose here is food. Okay, here is food which is dead and decay. Saprophytes are the one who is going to feed on dead and decay organisms. So fungi is going to release enzyme. This enzyme is going to break down the component that is dead and decay material and it releases nutrient. That nutrient is being taken up by the organism. Okay, that is called as saprophytic. But kingdom Animalia are non-saprophytic. So in upcoming classes you will see their mode of nutrition is holozoic. Okay, this mode of nutrition is being adapted by saprophytes. They are heterotrophs. What is the meaning of heterotrophs? Organisms who can prepare their own food, right? Organisms who can prepare their own food. Okay. Now, kingdom is the highest level of classification. You will see more general character and less specific character when we talk about the kingdom. Here you can see one example class. Beautiful picture is given. For example, this is a beautiful example to understand about the general character and the specific character. See here, if I talk about the species, I am talking about the Canis lupus or lupus, whatever you pronounce it. Canis lupus. Okay, when I say Canis lupus, it is domestic dog. Specifically, I said only one organism come, but when I talk about when I go to the genus, related species will come. So I said canis is the genus. In canis again I have what, I can have, see here it's written domestic, all domestic, wild dogs, wolves and jackals all will come over here. Family Canidae, you have more addition. Family, then order Carnivora, you have more addition. Class Mammalia, you have more addition. Then what is mammalia? It's written over here class, all mammals that produce milk. That means mammalia are the organisms who have mammary gland. Then to feed their young one, have fur, means you who have hair on the skin, sorry, hair on the skin, and then they are warm blooded animal. Okay, then phylum Chordata, you can see more general species are there, and kingdom Animalia, you can see many. So here you can see that general character is too much, and here you can see it is very specific, right? Now same thing is written over here class. You can go with the slide and see here. So these are few example. For example, species, may I have taken one species example, tigress. Genus can be Panthera for it, and family, like one example we did for humans now. So this is an example for the tiger. Species is tigress, genus is Panthera, family Felidae, order Carnivore, class Mammalia, they are Chordata and they come under kingdom Animalia. So that's all we have in today's class. Thank you.